Hey guys, we'll start in 5 minutes. Let me just go get some more coffee and then I'll be good to go. You don't want me without coffee tonight. You definitely do not want me without coffee. It's not sexy. Hold on one second. Alrighty, hold on. Let me give you a fancy opening and then we'll go from there. Hold on. Let's do the fancy opening. Hey, everybody. All right, let me get rid of the banner and we'll get good to go. You realize you're going to have super light volume today, like really, really light volume. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but you have the holiday here. So it's definitely going to be an issue for people. And I don't think people fully get that. There was even very little. That's why there was no video last night. I'm like, I could do it. I could do the whole thing today for Tuesday and combine Monday and Tuesday with what happened. Just because there's not really much to say. You almost want to give it like 2 days to just kind of go and see what's going on here. In my opinion, that's just the way that I say it. I don't know that you needed it. There's, hood would have been the whole darn video. But other than that, you have some levels here that are of interest. I would really want to see how you act around 10 o'clock today and go from there. I'd be really careful with anything until you see those names and you see those levels. Like, I just don't think there's anything really to do until that. I do think a lot of these names are going to bonk all over the place, but other than that, this is really how I see it. I don't know how you don't retest that area. If you start looking down here, it's going to take you to that Friday close or that Sunday open. So that would be your next level if you broke there. And then, of course, you have that, Canada doing something. I almost said China, and then that's going to be an issue. But I don't really see it that way. You have these little areas of pockets of interest where you've reversed. But I don't know that I really see it where I think I'm going to see something here and see if that gets a little bit better up there. It kind of doesn't, does it? So it kind of is better there. So I'm more interested in where the battle is. So I look at it and go, all right, you have some areas, but does it really matter? I don't really know what people expect Powell to say today when he speaks again to Europe. I don't think he's going to bash his own country. Like people are expecting him to like come out and like, oh, he's going to give it to him today. Like, I don't really see it that way. I do think Bessent making a comment today is pretty interesting about like, yeah, I think the Fed's behind because that's probably his opinion. Like, he's pretty good. And when he says something, he means it. And I thought that was kind of interesting. Maybe he does feel that way. There's that Sunday, 6 o'clock, Friday close. And you kind of came down there, didn't you? And you're holding. So I think that's really important as well. Can you come back down to that Friday level? Yeah, I don't like these slow grinds down. Like they're brutal. They're really, really brutal. So what I like to see is I'd like to see something where I could, have some kind of rally and then roll over. And so far, I'm just not, we're just not seeing that yet. You're just kind of seeing this kind of like we're down and then we're going to stop going down. And I think that's one of the things you have to be super careful about with this market today. Like, even like some of the names I'm going to go over, you're going to look like you're going to fall apart and then you're just going to miraculously bounce. And people are going to be like, what the heck is that? You have all the quarterly rebalancing today and you're doing it on really light volume because the way this week's set up. So, your Thursday, your quarterly rebalancing, and then you have a half day Thursday that nobody really wants to go to. You'll be gone by a certain period of time and that's going to put you where? So I think by Thursday, it's going to take you to what? If I can, let me think about it. 1 o'clock. So by 10:30, 11 o'clock, they're gone. Everyone's gone. And so you have 2 hours of trading there. So you have Tuesday and Wednesday you really have to get through, and then you have to survive non-farm payrolls, and then, they're in the Hamptons. So I'm just marking the levels off while I'm talking. I mean, you can screenshot them and see them for yourself. But like, I really think that's what you have to deal with. Even yesterday, you had really good news and you faded it. And when we fade really good news, it's an issue. And, non-farm payrolls, it's not great. I don't see him cutting rates just to cut rates, just to make, Trump happy. I just don't see it that way at all. I actually think it's going to have the exact opposite effect. And he knows he's out. Like, Trump is not going to keep Jerome around after like mocking him forever. So he's going to put somebody else in there. And these are the levels I'd watch. You might just want to watch the push and obviously that retest of the area, but you really just want to watch and see how you act here. But you really have to see how that plays out there. So like, he's going to put somebody else in. We're going to wind up buying home builders in 6 months. That's where this is going, because you're going to have the most dovish Fed in the world, which is going to lead to the next cycle of inflation. I don't really know where they're going to go with this big, beautiful bill. They already cut, and you're going to see AI names probably pretty weak today, and people aren't going to get it. But they took the no regulation on AI for the next 10 years out of the bill. Like, what the heck that's even doing in there is beyond me. Like, we're not going to regulate something that could create Skynet. Seems kind of stupid. But I don't know. What do I know? But, it just seemed really dumb, doesn't it? So this is really kind of how I see it. I think the bigger problem for people today is they're going to get caught a lot being on one side of this, and they shouldn't be. What do I mean by that? Like, I think you're going to go, oh, we're definitely going to break down, and they're just going to rip. Oh, we're going to go up, and then it's going to fall apart. And you saw that yesterday, and you really did. You saw a lot of that yesterday. So that's really where my focus would be, and that's what I'd be paying attention to a lot of. That's really how I see it. But we'll go from there, and it is what it is. I'm trying to think what else we have there that's of interest. Hood, I like a lot. Let's see if it holds. I want to take a bunch of questions today, actually, because I have the time. And I didn't really get to them all yesterday. So let's do it. Let's do it today. Let's do the questions. And, we'll go from there. I think we're better off doing questions today. And good morning. What's up? Good morning. I slept awful last night. I seem to sleep worse if I go to bed earlier. So, and the video's fine. It's just going to bonk all over the place. I do think net makes sense. I'm really surprised by the way that those names are moving. And I don't really think that there's a lot to say or do there. That is just outright. Everybody needs to be in this for whatever godforsaken reason. And I'm just going to point out and be Captain Obvious. That is your IPO VWAP, and you hit it and you reject it. And until you're over that, and I wouldn't even think twice about that name. I wouldn't even think twice about it. So give me 1 second here. See stuff. So I wouldn't even think twice about it till you're over that level. It's like this. I'm stalking this right now, and you got right to it, and you just reject it, like wholeheartedly reject it. So. Yeah, the net makes sense to me because of the way it's set up. But I like bars. I like when they do this kind of stuff. When you have a bar like that and then you undercut and then you close at the high. The only thing that I would say to you that it would concern me a little bit, and not a lot, but what I would do is just mark it off. And then you'd have to use that low. But here's what will concern me about that more than anything would just be, I'd put an alert there so you can see it. I don't know what they're going to do with positioning today. I really don't know what they're going to do with the positioning of their portfolios today. So I might be a little conservative. I certainly don't think you want to go crazy on anything. Where's the low of that? Yeah, that's interesting, because if you can get to 89 or closer to 89, that might be the area to look at. Because here's the thing about it to me is I don't know what JOLTs numbers are going to be. Because people are not having a good time finding a job right now. They're just not. So there's the 2:30 level. What's the dentist's favorite time of day? 2:30. And if we go and take a look, Friday, what was yesterday? Monday, right? So today's Tuesday. So that would be that low. And these are the areas of interest that you'd want to see it sell down to, if you're so inclined. But I don't know. I don't know that you're going to get that opportunity. I really don't know that you're going to get that or not. So we'll have to see how that plays out. Really see how that, what happens there. But that's really how I say it. I'm trying to think if there's anything else of really of consequence here that I really have to go over. No, they're going to just whack retail here, I think, with that name. But with Hood, I think they're going to whack retail, scare them. What else you got here? Oh, that's an interesting name. We haven't looked at that one in a while. Live Nation. What do you got going on? Yeah. So definitely something to watch, but I would need to get through that. I mean, you're marching up over it, but I would need to watch that. That's definitely something I would want to watch for sure. CoreWeave, Sound, AV. So let's do we could probably do all these actually, because there's a lot of these that are going to duplicate. I can see already. So let's do it. Let's go CoreWeave. And I always look at these names. I'll clean all this off. So the one thing that I would always look at with something like this is I would just drop a line right on peak VWAP. And then I would go, how am I acting when I get to peak VWAP? And then just go and take a look at it and go, am I going up? Am I going down? What happens when I get to peak VWAP? And I'm rejecting. All right, cool. So how am I acting at that? And that's not even really marked off properly, is it? So it's actually probably even worse than that if we looked at it. Let's clean it off and drop it down. Yep. So if we go and take a look at that, I mean, it's actually worse. Rejection right here. So those peak VWAPs, they are a mofo, but you always put them in there because it's really clear. Like this is where you just let it do its thing. You want to short it, that's where you short it. 69, right around 11 o'clock. I mean, it doesn't really get any cleaner. 70 and you're up what? $7 by the end of the day. Yeah, I think you want to watch stuff like that. I think you really need to pay close attention to that kind of stuff. I do. 100%. So I would definitely pay attention to it, but I think you have to be on the short side when it gets up to here. And then if it breaks over, like put an alert there. And then if it breaks over there, that's really where I'd look at shorting it. I wouldn't be going long that if that's what you're thinking. I don't think so. Yeah, everyone seems to be getting giddy about this thing again. I don't really get it. Go for it. Is it something I'm going to play? Not really. If you did well with it, continue. I do think that this has a lot of potential. I don't really like what's happening this morning, obviously, and with the dropping of the name. So you kind of have to go through the news, and I don't have it in front of me. We can do it right now and go through the news, but it seems like lately I'm getting clipped on news. So they're doing a secondary, and so the stock's done to the secondary prices. So what you want to just wait for is just wait for the secondary to price and then take a look at it and really not go near it until then. That's how I would view it. I don't think there's much more to say about it than that, quite frankly. I definitely want to make sure it's on my radar today. Do I have it on my list? I do. Good. Yay. I definitely want to watch that and go from there. What else you got there for me? Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I go through my notes. Like I've been doing this a long time, right? But I still every single freaking day will sit down and write notes about what's going on. See this? It's actually setting up a short. See it, Jay? Look at it. I think my facial expressions are better. I got to get the camera working again. It's actually on me. He actually showed me how to set it all up again. I got to get it going. Maybe I'll do it this weekend. So we begin the bonding. All right. See what's going on here? See it? Look at it. See where you're at? See where you're at? See where you're at? So when you're long and it starts going against you today, say, man, that guy and his freaking RSI. But in all seriousness, when you look at that, what I want you to focus on is understand that now you're starting to have some weight on you. You started getting it here too. Say it. Okay. And you're not able to get through that level where you have the RSI divergence. And so you just always want to mark those off, right? Okay. That's all. Doesn't mean it's going to break, but I don't know. What's the market cap now? What did Tom Lee bring in market cap? Let's go find that and go get that. Let's see if I can find that, what that market cap is right now. Oh, this is excellent coffee today. Excellent coffee. $10 billion market cap. Yeah, it makes perfect sense, right? So I believe he steps on, and then it goes from $1 billion to 10 billion. So it takes more money now to move. I mean, if you do it that way, if you just looked at the math of it, and you went, and I know it's a shell, But if you looked at the math of it, it took $80 million or 80 million shares or 100 million shares to move it there. What's it going to take to move it higher as it gets worth more? It's going to take more. So today's really that last day of this. And people say, well, what do you mean the last day? So you buy it yesterday, right? Which these guys actually in the room, they nailed this. So they actually nailed this trade. I did very well with it, but people just, they bought literally first bar. But you have it hit the screen. You have the institutional people and the traders that buy it. And then everyone goes home at night and then they watch and they look at the names that are up and they're like, oh my God, Tom Lee's doing something with Ethereum. And then they buy in. Who's left? No one. So maybe you have a day of this left or two of it, and then it's just going to crater. Like always. I mean, it's not rocket science, right? This stuff it's just crater. It just will. Just always does. That's not really, throwing a wet blanket there. D-Dog looks great. John, what's interesting about Nike is I actually thought this was a good report, and no one seems to care. So I would just do it this way. If I wanted to be in it, I would be in it as long as I don't break below that level. Now, the problem here is there's two things. What time is it here? How much time do I have? All right, there's a clock right there. Cool. Problem here with these kinds of names, there's two things. One, as the dollar drops, our goods get cheaper overseas. So international sales actually go up. What people don't get is they're like, oh, the dollar's dropping. The dollar's dropping. Yeah, dollar's dropping. Dollar's dropping. I know. It's bad. It's not good. But people start buying more U.S. goods when the dollar drops. So you can actually increase sales when the dollar drops. Microsoft does better when the dollar drops. Any international global company does better when the dollar drops because the product is cheaper for them. So keep that in mind. Now, you just don't want to break 80. That's it. You just don't want to break 80. If you ever what's the level where this really matters? It's right there. So when you look at something like Nike, what scares me about these names more than anything is that what's going on out there with the world. In other words, what is going out there with the jobs market? And that spending number last Friday was disgusting. And so was the income number. So where does that really put us in the grand scheme of things? And I'm not sure it's great. So that's kind of where my head is with it. And that's how I view it. D-Dog software. God, what a great cup of coffee. If I could frame this cup of coffee right now, I would. D-Dog, I think they're fine, but why are you buying the one that's not at the highs yet? Why wouldn't I want to buy the ones that are at the highs that they had to buy? Why wouldn't I buy Crowd? Why wouldn't I buy Microsoft? Right? Why wouldn't I buy the winners? Why do I have to buy the one that can't get up? Why wouldn't I buy Net? Right? I think even Snow's rocking, and that thing's a pig. There's so many shares outstanding. It's so expensive. So MSTR made me sad yesterday because I really wanted it to break out, and then it faded. It pulled the flim flam, and I was really going to buy calls and everything, and I avoided it because I saw it come in hard. And I think they're playing a lot of games, and you're going to see a lot of rebalancing today. I really like this. I actually want to go for a ride on one of these things. I don't know if are they available yet in New York? Are they doing the live things yet? I think this is going to be absolutely huge. I think it makes so much sense. You're just going to zoom in like a Jetson over traffic, and you're going to be in the Hamptons in 40 minutes or something insane. People are going to do this all the freaking time. What's even crazier is eventually they'll probably be selling these freaking things. So I think that's where they really make their money, when they start selling them. But what do I know? I find this fascinating. I really do. She gets a ton of grief, and I don't know why, but I made a list of things that she said that were disruptions. Hold on. Let me see if I can find my notes real quick. I should be able to. I'm so organized, right? Let me see. It's a joke. Let me see if I can find them. But I made notes about, so Kathy was on this podcast, Diary of a CEO. And she always gets so much grief, which just makes me laugh because people don't understand that she has a charter and she can only do so much. But one of the disruptions that she had, and I have these notes somewhere, I'm just looking for them real quick. If I can't find them, I'll move on. Here they are, I think that's it. Maybe I should name them. And it wasn't this one. It was this one, right? They're the same thing, but this was the one that she's like, they're going to disrupt everything. I'm just going to tell you this, like I'm paraphrasing it for time's sake. If she tells you something's going to disrupt and you're not looking at it, you're making a huge freaking mistake, because she's the only person that called Tesla, and she's the only person that called Bitcoin, to the point she got laughed at. So no one called those two things ever, and certainly no one called the huge move in CRISPR either. So when I look at that, yeah, there's something to that, man. There's definitely something to that longer term. I can't cover them all. Taiwan Semis is a beast. Amazon's completely undervalued. None of this exists without ASML. None of it. None of it. I think that Amazon looks great. I think that people need to be really careful this morning about how much rebalance are you going to have. And then like if I just, instead of just pointing to charts, if I just tell you where I think your head needs to be, how much rebalancing do we have on the quarterly, John? Like, do we get rebalancing today from funds? Do they lock in some of their profits? Do they reassess? Are the claims, or JOLTs jobs numbers going to be a big deal today? You know, like, where are we going with this? You know, good morning. What's up, Ricardo? Good to see you, buddy. ESP, were you always in? I want to say, were you always in Virginia? I feel like you moved. I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. ESP. Anyone see that remote viewing stuff on the Sean Ryan show? That stuff's just freaky. I don't know, buddy. I don't know enough about it. I don't understand why I don't have earnings. I don't understand why it's so thin. It's absolutely rocking. If you want to just, Ricardo, just to go over it technically, you're way overextended. What you could do is this, to just get a sense of it, is you could take the previous level here and take that low and get a sense on where you're at. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you technicals. So where you're at here that's your previous swing high. Here's your swing low. It's actually a little lower there, isn't it? It's right there. And there's your fib, right? Until you came to that. So, you know, make sure you get over that before you get goofy. If you're in, cool, but I'd watch that. I can just get into it technically, man. I don't know anything about it. They have no earnings, and this kind of stuff always freaks me out. What's up, Troy? Good morning from Phoenix. Good morning from Miami. Yeah, I didn't want to do, like, I started doing the video, and I'm like, you know, there wasn't enough there to do it on the week. And I'm like, I'll do Tuesdays, and Tuesdays will be better. That's kind of how I looked at it. You know I should just do it. I should just do that video. I worked on creating more like evergreen content yesterday, like longer term stuff. And I have this option class I'm going to do in the community, and I'm just like finishing it. So maybe it was just a time thing, but yeah, I'm well. Much the dismay of my ex-wife. I like Joby too. I like those names. I don't think it's time to load up. I think you need to be super careful with Tesla. I think you need to be super careful, because I think he's about to be made an example of. I think he's poked at like the dark side long enough. Like, you know, he wants to be the rebellion. I think he's about to meet Darth Vader. So like, I really feel that way. Like, oh, watch, I'll turn Doja on you. Like, I mean, what are we, 4? But you know, you can't poke the bear, man. There's a reason that saying exists. Like, don't poke the bear. The guy controls the entire regulatory body that determines whether or not robo-taxis exist, which is your entire future. All your credits that you say you don't want, which you desperately need to fund SpaceX and everything else, you know, Come on, man. Like, stop poking. Although it's good for me because maybe I get to buy more SpaceX. What's up, Bill? I don't know. Guys in the room were buying this thing. I don't know anything about it, man. I really don't. Well, stuff like this to me is really simple. So if I was to look at that, right? And you probably already saw this, but I'm just going to point it out just so we're on the same page. So you probably already saw that control bar. So you kind of hit the top of that and you reject it. And that's kind of been a battleground for it, hasn't it? So we could see that being support here. We can see them cracking it. We can see them trying to flip it here. We can see them bowing it again, and we can see that battle lost. And so we know that they broke that battle there too, right? So we know that that would be like the control bar that set the tone for the down, the continuation down. So if I was going to buy that, I would want a close over that. At a minimum, if I was going to buy that, I'd mark that off at like 28. Because I didn't say, well, I'm not going to wait for the close because you're like, I'm going to miss it and it's going to be the cat's pajamas, whatever. You got to get over 28 is how I would look at that, Bill. What's up, Steven? There she is. Happy Tuesday. Lulu's got problems, man. When you're a company and you start suing people, you have problems. You have real problems. The market's crashing. What are you talking about? You're down 40 basis points. I don't think it's going to pass. I really don't. No, I just didn't do it. You know, maybe I should. I'm like, dude, bro, like that's too much, Julio. That's too much. All right, off you go. Everyone say goodbye to Julio. I don't know if they're going to do conversion. I don't know. It's a really good question, Jeffrey. I don't think so. Because it's not run as well. The cat's pajamas, apparently, in the cruise lines, they were talking about this yesterday, is RCL. And it's apparently like they have the best boats with all the best foods and fixins and the best water slides. Yeah, that's pricing today, hopefully. I don't know that. I don't know that. You know, let me rephrase that. So I was short this because I see your comment, and I'm just going to say that I don't know that they're rallying. But I did close my short yesterday in this. I've been short this for a while. How long? Hold on, I'll tell you in a minute. He pulled it out of, oh no, there it is. I've been shorted since May 21st. So in here, like 103 or something in here, I started doing it. I guess it was this day, or maybe it was that day I started it. Anyway, yeah, because it went in my face and then I added to it. So I've just been shorting this thing. And I covered it yesterday when it gap filled. So I think there was a secondary that priced on QBTS too. I could be wrong there. You know what? Let's take a second and look at that together so that I know. I love when we do things together. They completed a $400 million at the money equity offering, exploring strategic acquisition to expand leadership. Okay, so they raised $400 million and they're like, we're going to use it to buy somebody. Okay. Okay. You know, I don't know if they're going to rally or not. I will say that technically what happened yesterday was enough to get me out of my short and take my 35 points and go home. So, but I don't know that I'd go long. Dude, it's like the best, right? Like when you've got like a great cup of coffee, you're like, oh my God, this is so good. Yeah, I remember that. That's why people always say to me, people always say to me, like, why aren't you in China stocks? I'm like, bro, did you ever see what happened to Luckin? When they came in one day and all the books were wrong? Oh, that can't happen. Okay. Does Josh Brown like that? Does he like AC or HR? I can see that. Well, she's like 92, Maria. I mean, come on. I don't know. I don't know that I'd short DLR. I think that EQIX, where it is, I mean, they're telling you that they have a problem. I don't know, man. I don't think so. I think the goal is to understand that people are going to want to own this because they know how big it's going to be. Savannah's so beautiful. Good morning from Savannah. If you're trying to subscribe, make sure you get on the wait list. They'll be going out this week. Some will be going out this week for sure. And then I'm going to close it for a decent period of time because I talk to everybody that joins or give them the opportunity to. I don't force them to talk to me. Good morning from Savannah. Savannah's so nice, man. I did a layover there once when I was driving to Florida. I had someone that wanted to bring their car down, and we road tripped, and we stayed over there, and we wound up staying much longer. It's such a great town. It's such a cool town. I think that's so fascinating to me too. Like, I looked at it, and maybe people are excited because, like, thank God you have a plan. But the largest tech company in the world just had to go buy someone's tech. Like, tell me that you're behind without telling me you're behind. I mean, you just turned yourself into IBM, which is not a bad thing right now. Money from Tampa. Yeah, did you see that chart earlier, Giovanni? Hold on, let's do that again because this one's like so good to watch. It's such a great learning lesson. See it? So you just maybe just wait for it to close above that IPO VWAP. SRI. What's up, Shane? SRI. I don't know, brother. I got pretty much every single news service, so maybe I can find it. Oh, you're not up. Oh, you are up. Yeah, you're rocking. What kind of volume? I guess you're not trading today. Is that what you're not? There's no trade today. Or you telling me like you're up? No, you're not. You're just sitting there. I don't know. I don't know. I don't see anything. Let me see if I can find something real quick because I got to wrap this up and hop in the room. $16 target price. June 4th, they were at a global auto conference, but that's all I say. Bro, he's the fun. Steven is the man. Steven really is the man. It's a pig. It's like a pig. It's got so many problems now, man. Like, look, I'll say it's a pig, and these guys in the room will laugh at me because I'll be like, long. So if I was a long-term shareholder, which I was at one time, and to be candid, it's actually higher than where I got out. I got out in here when the cyber trucks were a dumpster fire. If I was a long-term guy, I'd be livid right now because he could put the company back years. Because he's actually at the point now where you think Democrats are going to take him back. Like, it's not going to happen. AMD's got a lot of buyers. You actually saw, I think it was Kathy started buying it yesterday, selling coin and buying it. So, which I thought was interesting. I don't know why so angry, Julia. So angry. Yeah, I guess. No, I just get so angry. I don't know why. I don't know why they're doing what they're doing. I don't know. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you the truth. We don't know the real reason why they're fighting. I'll leave it at that. I don't think we know the real reason. But it is what it is. All right, I got to jump. Trade to win, guys.